Al Wayne was a regular farmer who accidentally maximized his statistics while he was growing his massive eggplant. However, when he saves a beautiful princess from demonic attack, he is hired as her personal bodyguard, but ends up sharing intimacy with her. One morning, while Al Wayne was heading to the capital to sell his product, he saw adventurers fighting in a losing battle against a dragon, so he decided to help. He only wanted to divert the dragon's attention to allow them escape, but when he threw a carrot, it exploded, impacting the adventurers. Realizing that he had become one of those superpower protagonists he had heard so much about, Al Wayne returned to his cart and left, leaving the adventurers wondering who his mysterious helper was. When Al Wayne arrived at the capital later, he saved a young woman from a hooded man who was riding a horse and had kidnapped her. Annoyed, the man tried to cut him with a small knife, but thanks to his ultra instinct skill, Al Wayne easily dodged his attacks and disarmed him. While the guards took the man away, the damsel he had saved from danger approached him to thank him for having rescued her. Al Wayne told her it was nothing and left before she could even ask what his name was. Later on, as Al Wayne left the city, the girl he saved before approached him to thank him again and introduce herself formally as Fallis Magus, the first princess of the Magus Kingdom. Additionally, she offered him a position in the palace, but he rejected it. Hoping he would change his mind, Fallis Magus offered to give him some lands near the capital, so Al Wayne asked why she was desperately trying to make him accept her offer. Fallis Magus explained it was because the man he had disarmed had an average status of 500. Confused, Al Wayne asked what she meant, so Fallis Magus explained how a normal person's statistics differed from those of an adventurer, knight, and hero. Just when she asked to see his statistics, the adventurers he had saved appeared suddenly, taking her attention away. They told the guards that their mission had been completed, but not by them. While they explained what happened during their fight with the dragon, Fallis Magus deduced that Al Wayne was the one who saved them. However, just as she turned to ask him about it, she saw him moving away in his cart. At that moment, a messenger informed Fallis Magus that she was needed at the palace, and arriving there, knights revealed that a monster swarm was approaching the city. This was shocking since demons and humans already signed a peace pact and the king wondered what was happening. Cecil, the chief administrator, revealed that he had already linked all the suspicious activities that occurred that day with Romeo Vanded, a demon king commander who wanted some revenge against the human race. Then he suggested the king and princess escape before the swarm arrived, and after a combined effort begging the old man to save himself and his daughter, they finally agreed to flee the city. Meanwhile, Al Wayne arrived home, and while he tried to relax, Testa, his childhood friend, knocked on his door to tell him about the monster swarm. Hearing this, Al Wayne ran to his farm to check his crops and felt relieved when he saw that monsters had not destroyed them. At that moment, he noticed the monsters, so he hid behind a tree and observed they ignored everything around them while heading to the capital. Initially, Al Wayne planned to ignore them. However, when he thought about the impact of the capital's destruction on his products, he decided it was time to be a hero. At the same time, somewhere in the forest, the king and princess were guided to safety by Cecil and a group of knights. When they reached a dead end, Fallis Magus suggested they return, but Cecil said it was not necessary to do so. He stated they were in the right place, and the next moment he attacked the king. The knights tried to avenge their king, but Cecil eliminated them easily. Then he began one of those boring villain speeches, and after that, he transformed, revealing that he was the demon Romeo Vanded. Furthermore, he revealed that, unlike his former master, the Demon King, who sought to destroy his kingdom, he wanted to rule over it by personifying the king. When he tried to hit Fallis Magus and the king with a spell, the king blocked it by casting several magic circles. Unfortunately, due to his injury, he was too weak to maintain the circles, so Fallis Magus strengthened him by casting the same spell and reinforced it. Using their combined powers, they tried to stop Romeo Vanded's spell, but the demon was too powerful for them. Just when he was about to send them to the afterlife, Al Wayne suddenly appeared with a hoe and countered his spell. Shocked, Romeo Vanded tried to attack Al Wayne, but Al Wayne caught his blade with his bare hands. Then he threw Romeo Vanded against the mountain, which infuriated him. So he decided to enter final boss mode. He absorbed the powers of the monsters closest to him and returned to his true form. However, before he could attack, Al Wayne showed him that he was the new and improved Ultimate Warrior. As soon as the monsters saw that Romeo Vanded had been defeated, they fled to save their lives. The next day, the royal family thanked Al Wayne and rewarded him with 33,000 square meters of farmland in exchange for joining the Adventurers Guild. The next day, he went to the guild with Fallis Magus, who was disguised as a commoner. Before entering, Fallis Magus asked him to keep her identity secret and asked him to address her as Philia while they were in the guild. This made Al Wayne ask if she believed herself a secret hero, so she explained that due to her enchanted hairpin, others would see her differently. Keeping this in mind, Al Wayne entered the building and was immediately greeted by the guild master, who took him to the counter to begin his registration. Just as Al Wayne was introducing himself to Helen, one of the receptionists, his stomach let out a loud roar. After this, Helen gave him a cake, and when he finished, she asked him some questions. While he answered them, the adventurers he saved from the dragon entered, and when they saw Al Wayne, they mentioned he was the one who defeated the dragon. As soon as the other adventurers in the room heard this, they began began to murmur among themselves, but Alwyn tried to deny it. The adventurers praised his strength and introduced themselves before telling him to count on them if he needed help. After they left, Helen informed Alwyn that since he was a new adventurer, he would start as G rank. Then she handed him a form with a list of materials he should collect to complete his first mission. The list also contained details of the monsters he might find in the area and how to avoid or eliminate them. Before letting him embark on the mission, Helen gave Alwyn a robe imbued with magical powers that could amplify the user's defensive power. After thanking her for the robe, he left the guild with Falius Magus, who went on her own. Later that day, while collecting items from his list, Alwyn found a scale he had never seen before. While trying to figure out which monster it came from, he was attacked by a female orc in heat. Fortunately, before his purity was taken from him, Jake arrived and killed the orc, saving poor Alwyn from the indescribable horror that would have happened. Luke and Lamia arrived shortly after and mocked Alwyn for his ability to attract ugly monsters instead of beauties. When they stopped, Alwyn showed the trio the scale he had found and they speculated which monster it belonged to. Eventually, they decided to return to the city, but before they could take a step, they were hit by a sinister aura. The aura was so threatening that they remained frozen in place, unable to move while the monster it belonged to passed right by them. Alwyn managed to move his head to check the monster's statistics, and what he saw sent another chill down his spine. The next morning, while Helen talked to an old woman, Alwyn entered and told Helen he had something to report immediately, so she took him to the guildmaster. In the guildmaster's office, Alwyn and the other adventurers gave an account of their encounter with the monster. From what Alwyn saw, its attack power was 230,000, and if it attacked the city, it would destroy it. When Luke mentioned that the monster was called the malevolent dragon Uraboros, the guildmaster and Helen were more than surprised. Jake then suggested they seal the forest for the moment and presented the scale he had found. As soon as Helen saw it, memories of her and her younger brother running through the forest flashed in her mind. As soon as the memory reached where her brother became a snack for Uraboros, Helen fainted, surprising everyone. While talking to the old lady, Alwyn learned that Helen had no memories of her childhood. It happened that she and her husband had found Helen fainted on a riverbank and adopted her. It was said that Helen might have encountered Uraboros in the past, and hearing about it had triggered something in her. After hearing this, Alwyn swore to investigate by visiting the library to see if he could find relevant information about Helen. Moved by his determination, she asked him to wait and returned a few moments later with some recovery potions. She told him to take them as payment for his investigation because she also wanted to know about Helen past. While Alwyn was leaving the guild, a mailman named Mace came to give him a letter from his mother, making Alwyn wonder how he had found him. Later, in the library, Alwyn asked the librarian for a damage report from the time Helen was found. The woman told him that only certain people had access to read reports. Just as he resorted to begging her, Falius Magus appeared. She asked the woman to allow Alwyn to read the damage report, and the woman happily consented. Alwyn found the report he was looking for, and after reading it, he discovered that there was a village near where Helen was found that had been annihilated. According to witness reports, the village had been reduced to rubble, and all they found were Uraboros scales. Falius Magus explained that Uraboros was known for ingesting ruin and despair to live long, but after a battle with its natural enemy, it was believed dead. However, seeing it had shown up recently, Alwyn and Falius Magus agreed that history books were wrong. Armed with this new information, Alwyn decided to go to the village to investigate further, and Falius Magus said she would go with him. The next day, they arrived at the destroyed village, and while looking at the place, they investigated further. When he looked for clues, Alwyn heard a voice calling him. He quickly ran in the direction it came from and found the owner. While talking to the boy, the confused Falius Magus wondered if Alwyn had lost his mind. Surprisingly, it was at that moment that the young man realized he was talking to a ghost. The boy introduced himself as Ilvia and said he had been waiting years for someone to hear his voice. Then he asked Alwyn where he got his robe, and Alwyn told him it was a gift from Helen, which relieved the boy. He revealed that the robe belonged to him while alive, and after hearing this, Alwyn draped part of it over Falius Magus's shoulders. At first, the princess thought he was courting her, but she got scared. Alwyn asked who the boy was, and he revealed that he was Helen younger brother. Alwyn was surprised and told him that Helen had no childhood memories, which made the boy say her. Life was in danger. To help Alwyn and Falius Magus understand why, he told them what happened 15 years ago. It had been a normal day, and while he was playing, Helen came to call him for lunch. Her sudden appearance caused him to stumble and fall, so she began to take care of him exaggeratedly like a protective mother. While trying to make her stop, Uraboros' dark aura suddenly enveloped the area and began to attack the village. The siblings ran back, hoping to find their parents, but only found Uraboros and some survivors. One of the children bravely defended his family, but Uraboros found his courage annoying. He said hope was like poison to him, so he had to eradicate it. And while he began to do this, the boy told Helen they had to run. Helen did not want to, as she believed their parents were still alive, but he asked her to react. As they ran, Uraboros went after them, and when poor Helen could not run anymore, Furthermore, she fell. Uraboros landed behind her and tried to eat her, but the boy stopped him by throwing his dagger into the eye. The boy felt proud to have hurt the dragon, but Uraboros healed and focused his attention on him. Helen begged the boy to run, but the little one stood firm and was hurt. Devastated, Helen ran towards her brother, and while she held him in her arms, Uraboros began to gloat. He was enjoying the look of despair on Helen's face. He said it was his favorite look. Then he told Helen he would spare her life. However, he would return 15 years later to finish her and her new friends. With his last breath, the boy weakly told Uraboros he would not allow him to hurt his sister, so the dragon said he would keep the boy's soul in the world to witness Helen's death in the future. After saying this, Uraboros disappeared like a bald man's hair, leaving Helen crying for her brother. Back in the present, it was revealed that Uraboros was a psychopathic lizard. The evil dragon spent his time annihilating villages and cities, but always left a single survivor so they could spread the tale and cause terror among people. The boy said that after dying, Uraboros' consciousness flowed into him, and he learned that the dragon grew stronger by feasting on the negative energy of its prey. Now that he had awakened from his long sleep, he would come for Helen and those closest to her. The boy begged to save Helen's life, but said even a Superman would be powerless before Uraboros. The boy then said if they could stop the flow of negative energy Uraboros lived off, they could weaken him and gain a fighting chance. Agreed to try, and before leaving with Phalius Magus, the boy gave him a message for Helen. When they returned to the capital, Phalius Magus left to supervise the evacuation, while looked for Helen. Without him knowing, Helen had left home and gone into the forest to meet Uraboros, because her memories had returned, and she thought she could face him alone in that place. Uraboros praised her stupidity and then began to mock her, saying it was her fault her brother died. Furthermore, he told her everyone in the capital city would also die because of her, and Helen begged him to spare their lives. The more she begged, the more she fell into despair, and Uraboros enjoyed every second of it. Hoping she would accept, Helen offered her life in exchange for the others, but Uraboros' cruelty told her it didn't matter because everyone would die. Hearing this, Helen hesitated to stick the dagger into her throat, but Uraboros was a master manipulator and convinced her to do it. Just when she was about to do it, Alwyn arrived and stopped her, which greatly angered Uraboros, who hit him to move him away. Fortunately, Alwyn's robe prevented him from being seriously injured, so he got up and ran to punch Uraboros in the face. Surprisingly, the blow was powerful enough to knock Uraboros back, but it did not knock him unconscious. He praised Alwyn for catching him off guard, and Alwyn acknowledged he was significantly weaker than Uraboros. However, he promised Helen to protect her, making her remember the moment her brother told her the same. Alwyn then challenged Uraboros, who let out an angry growl before trying to attack Alwyn. To his annoyance, Alwyn dodged his attacks, making sure to pull away before Uraboros hit. Even when Uraboros threw fire at him, Alwyn refused to give up and tried to face him again. Seeing this, Helen begged Alwyn to run for his life, and when she started sounding like those characters that only exist to move the plot, Alwyn grabbed her and ran. He told her to stop acting like that because he would not let her die. Furthermore, he gave her a speech about how what happened 15 years ago was not her fault. Even so, the girl argued that it was, so he told her to shut her mouth for a second and told her what her brother asked him to tell her. Hearing her brother's encouraging words, Helen was momentarily transported to the past, where her brother smiled brightly at her. Finally, she accepted what Alwyn had been telling her, and he told her that hope was the only way to finally defeat Uraboros. Next moment, the dark skies were pierced by light, and Uraboros furiously demanded to know why Alwyn was trying to thwart his plans. In response, Alwyn mocked him, saying his powers had begun to weaken because Helen was no longer afraid of him. Next moment, Uraboros was struck by the light and screamed as if he felt pain. Annoyed, he dove down, hoping to attack Alwyn, but the farm boy gave him an upward blow that knocked him out. Helen approached Alwyn to ask how he was, but in an unexpected twist, she stabbed him. Confused, Alwyn tried to drink the recovery potion he had been given, but his hand shook and he spilled it. Helen mocked him for this and then actively began trying to attack him, but Alwyn dodged all her cuts. When she stopped, he asked what happened to her. Without noticing, her eyes had changed. When she saw he was trying to heal with magic, she charged at him again. But before she could reach him, Mirage appeared, blocking her path. Mirage told Alwyn to concentrate and revealed that Uraboros controlled Helen's body. Uraboros did not appreciate Mirage giving him away, and when he started complaining, Mirage told him to shut up. Then he turned his attention back to Alwyn, asking him to take his regeneration power and use it against Uraboros. After Alwyn absorbed Mirage's power, his wound healed, but Mirage weakened and collapsed. He managed to instruct Alwyn on what to do, stating that unless Uraboros was purified, Helen could not be saved. Hearing this, Uraboros began to mock Alwyn, asking if he would hurt Helen to get rid of him. In response, Alwyn hit her. He hit Helen in the stomach, surprising Uraboros, who did not expect him to be a total defender of equality. He asked how Alwyn could lay hands on a girl, and Alwyn replied that Helen's eyes begged him to do it. Believing Helen had overcome Uraboros' manipulation, Alwyn offered her his hand, but as soon as she grabbed it, Uraboros tried to take over his body. However, to his surprise, surprise, he discovered that the only thing Alwyn was thinking about was farming. There was nothing he could use to attack his mind, so he was rejected. While Uraboros tried to make sense of his failure, Mirage woke up and finished him off. Before disappearing completely, Mirage thanked the now unconscious Alwyn for helping him defeat Uraboros once and for all. Later, Alwyn woke up in the guild's clinic to find Fallius Magus and Helen Rayanne taking care of him. Once Fallius Magus confirmed he was okay, she hugged him happily but pulled away as soon as she realized she was being very affectionate. Alwyn asked what happened to Uraboros, and Helen Rayanne confirmed his ultimate purification. Fallius Magus was surprised to learn that Mirage had appeared because he had only been a thing of legend. Alwyn explained what led to his appearance, after which he asked Helen Rayanne if there were no side effects from Uraboros' possession. Helen Rayanne revealed that although Uraboros was gone, she had kept his powers, and when Alwyn and Fallius Magus saw her arms changing, they got scared. Helen Rayanne seemed to like the fact of having this power and told them she was going to use it to help people. She thanked Alwyn for the message. She said that from now on, she would lead a happy life in honor of her brother, who risked his life to save hers. Alwyn smiled hearing this, but Fallius Magus interrupted the sweet moment to ask why they were giving each other looks of carnal desire. Of course, both denied it, and that made Fallius Magus happy since she did not want to share Alwyn. Helen Rayanne then asked Fallius Magus who she was and what her relationship with Alwyn was, since her hairpin did a perfect job hiding her true identity. Fallius Magus and Alwyn were caught, but Fallius Magus quickly recovered and said she was a childhood friend of Alwyn. Just then, the guildmaster, Jake, Luke, Lamia, and the others entered the room. They had been worried about Alwyn and Helen Rayanne, so they were glad they were okay. While everyone talked to each other, someone shouted at them to shut up, saying that Alwyn needed as much rest as possible. Alwyn assured them he was fine and proved it by standing up. Seeing this, Jake declared they would celebrate their victory over Uraboros, stating that the master would pay. The old man told them he could not afford a lavish party, but the adventurers told him not to be stingy because the palace would pay a considerable sum for subduing Uraboros. Mentioning this, Fallius Magus said they would surely receive the money, confusing everyone, but when she realized her mistake, she quickly covered it. Fortunately, no one thought too much about it, and everyone headed to the common room to celebrate. While the celebration continued, Fallius Magus approached Alwyn and told him she had been very worried about him the whole time he fought. However, when she thought about how brave he was being despite being at a disadvantage, she felt motivated to defend her people. Her attention soon turned to Helen Rayanne, who was using her newly acquired powers as party tricks. Days later, Alwyn was back at his farm, and while he and Testa walked towards the house after harvesting some crops, Mace arrived with a letter from Alwyn's father. In the letter, his father asked about his well-being and invited him to spend some time with them. After hearing the letter, Testa asked about his family. Alwyn admitted he did not remember when he last saw them. This made Testa say he was the founding member of the Worst Sons Association. Alwyn assured him he would visit them once he had completed all the missions he had accepted. Later that day, on his way to the guild, Alwyn stopped at a tomato vendor's stall to buy some. As soon as he tasted them, he had an incredible sensation and asked the vendor where he had bought his product. The man said he got them from Lulus, and almost immediately, Alwyn ran off. He went to the guild to ask Helen Rayanne if she would assign his mission to another adventurer. He was traveling to Lulus to see his parents and get a special fertilizer. Helen Rayanne surprised him, saying she would take over the missions, and explained she had been doing missions several times a week. Because of this, she was now an F-rank adventurer and enjoyed using her powers to suppress monsters. Alwyn was impressed by this development, and she assured him he had nothing to worry about while he was away. Leaving the guild, Alwyn ran into the princess. Once she knew he was going to see his parents, she insisted on going with him, but he got out of there so fast that she didn't know which path he took. Sometime later, while Alwyn made the trip to Lulus, he encountered a male orc. Initially, he assumed the orc wanted to befriend him, but soon realized he was trying to dishonor his untouched cheeks. He tried to escape but could not, and would have been violated if a blue-haired girl named Ruri had not arrived and killed the monster. Alwyn was traumatized, but he thanked Ruri for saving his purity from being dishonored. Ruri asked why he walked through the forest without an armed escort, and Alwyn revealed he was a rookie adventurer. However, for some reason he seemed to be a magnet for very needy orcs. Ruri mocked him, saying he was just her type before introducing herself to him. Once introductions were made, she asked where he was heading, and he told her he was going to Lulus. Coincidentally, she was also going there and offered to act as his escort all the way until they got there. But Alwyn had some objections. He pointed out they were of different genders and said it would be strange for them to travel together when they had just met. In response, Ruri told him that if he dared to look at her the wrong way, she would decapitate him, scaring poor Alwyn. Seeing his reaction, she assured him she was joking, adding that she was not attractive enough for a guy to try anything. Alwyn asked if her eyes were decorative pieces because all he could see was her great beauty. Flattered by his compliment, Ruri blushed. She thanked him, saying she knew he was just being polite. He tried to dispute this claim, but the girl hit him with a deadly look that scared him. As they continued their way to Lulus, they suddenly heard something approaching and took defense poses. Surprisingly, it was only Mace, and and he had come to deliver a letter from Al Wayne's mother. Al Wayne was surprised the mailman had located him so deep in the forest, and Rory said he only did his duty. After Mace left, Rory asked if the letter was important. Al Wayne said no, before showing her the pile of unopened letters his mother had sent him. He said one of the reasons he was visiting his home was for her to stop sending him letters like an obsessed fan, although his primary goal was to procure fertilizer to grow his tomatoes. Before he knew it, he began to get excited and lecture Rory about tomatoes and how to grow them. The girl could not keep up with him, and when he realized he was about to overload her brain, he apologized to her. He then asked if she had relatives as clingy as his mother, and Rory revealed her family did not care about her at all. Surprised, he tried to find out why, but she brushed off his question and started taking a tent and other items out of her bag. Al Wayne asked how she had put all that in the bag, and Rory revealed the bag was like a pocket dimension. Just then, Al Wayne's stomach let out a deafening roar, so Rory prepared some food and gave it to him. When he finished analyzing it seriously, Al Wayne asked Rory why she was going to Lulus. Rory explained she was currently in her training arc, but said she had accepted a side mission after hearing from a merchant that demons were attacking people in Lulus. Intrigued, Al Wayne asked for more details about the attacks and their locations, but Rory said there were none. He stated it was a dangerous mission she had undertaken, and Rory said she didn't care because, as a descendant of the hero, it was her duty to protect people. This revelation greatly surprised Al Wayne finally, but it did not change his opinion that the mission was too dangerous for her to handle alone. His concern surprised Rory, but it was not enough to change her mind, so she thanked him and assured him she would be fine. Then she got up and proposed they go to sleep, but instead of getting up, Al Wayne tried to lie down by the fire, so she stopped him. She asked him to join her inside the tent, but he refused, saying it was improper for a boy and a girl to be in such close spaces. In response, Rory said she did not consider him a man, and told him if he stayed outside, orcs would come for his purity. Terrified by the idea of orcs, Al Wayne ran to the tent to join Rory, who then suggested they chat until they fell asleep. However, the moment her head touched the pillow, she crossed over to the world of dreams and spent the rest of the night using Al Wayne as a training dummy. The next day, after arriving in Lulus, Rory hinted that she wanted to see Al Wayne again, so he asked her to be his armed escort for his trip back home. The girl happily accepted and drew a map of the city, showing the hotel where she would stay so he could look for her when he was ready to leave. Once she said goodbye to him, she went to ask questions about the demonic attacks, but no one had heard or seen anything. Rory found this strange but was determined not to give up, as giving up would prove what people said about her being a failure was true. Just then, she heard a woman scream, so she ran to find out what had happened, and when she found her, the woman said some demons had kidnapped her sister. Rory asked which way they went, and the woman said towards the Forest of Illusion. As Rory ran to the forest, promising to bring the girl back, she did not notice she was being watched. Meanwhile, Al Wayne had just arrived at his parents' house, and before he could ring the bell, his mother ran out. She grabbed the poor boy and spun around the city before crashing into the wall of their house. Not realizing he was struggling for his life, Lucia Wayne hugged Al Wayne tightly and continued excitedly about how much she had missed her baby. Just then, Al Wayne's father came out and mistook Al Wayne for someone flirting with his wife, so he hit him. Annoyed, his wife got furious and dragged him into the house to give him a lesson for hurting her son. Later, during dinner, she served Al Wayne all his favorite meals, but gave Giles Wayne a burnt bird to eat. While Al Wayne was eating his food, he accidentally mentioned Rory, so his mother began questioning him about her. His father said it would be nice if Al Wayne got an attractive girl, and in response to this, Lucia Wayne showed him why he should not speak too much. Realizing his mistake, Al Wayne explained that Rory was his armed escort and assured his mother he remained as single as the day he was born. The next day, after Al Wayne bought his fertilizer, he was tricked into going to the Forest of Illusion by the man who was watching Rory. Inside the forest, Al Wayne found the same woman Rory had found and saved her from the monster that was about to devour her. However, she transformed into the same monster that had been trying to eat her. Before the monster could swallow Al Wayne, Rory arrived and killed it without hesitation. Then she explained that the monster always regenerated after she killed it, and while Al Wayne tried to ask more questions, the man showed himself. Rory recognized him as the merchant who told her about the attacks, and he praised her for fighting. However, he said she was a fool for not realizing she had been tricked and told her she had failed as a hero. The strange character introduced himself as Loki, revealing he was a demon. Rory angrily asked why he had involved Al Wayne when it was her he wanted to destroy, and Loki replied it was because Al Wayne was the most important among them. He said he could not overlook the peasant who single-handedly defeated Romeo Vanded and Uraboros. Rory was surprised to hear this, but that did not stop her when trying to attack. This resulted in her being injured. Al Wayne used his magic to heal her, and Rory apologized for being useless. After Al Wayne assured her he was not disappointed in her, he tried to fight Loki, but the trickster evaded his attacks before hitting Al Wayne into the ground. Fortunately, he did not fall into a lava abyss and climbed back up with blows. This time, he landed a hit on Loki, but the demon countered with a force that would have defeated him if his fate were not on his side. Seeing this, Loki realized his power. Once he recognized this, he promised Al Wayne he would end his life. Al Wayne then asked Loki why he wanted him dead, fled, and Loki revealed he was on a mission to eliminate everyone he considered a threat to his plans. Furthermore, he said he came after Ruri because just as the Demon King had the power of the evil god, the hero had the power of the good god. But Ruri's powers had not yet awakened. When he finished speaking, he unleashed his monsters on Ruri, but Alwyn stepped in and saved her. As soon as Ruri recovered her senses, she began to attack the monsters and asked Alwyn to run, but he refused. He joined her to fight the monsters, but they kept coming back like persistent cockroaches. Loki then hit them with some explosive spells, which left a crater in the ground. When they tried to get up, one of the monsters hit Ruri before joining the other to attack Alwyn. While they attacked Alwyn, Loki turned his attention back to Ruri, who seemed to have accepted her fate. She apologized to her parents for letting them down and not becoming a hero, but before Loki could finish her, the monster suddenly crumbled and died. It turned out they had been ingesting the fertilizer Alwyn had tied to his back, and since fertilizer could also be used as a pesticide, it was harmful to them. Loki praised Alwyn for being smarter than him, but still gloated that Alwyn was too injured to attack. Alwyn tried to prove him wrong by charging at him, but Loki dodged his attack and told him to wait his turn like a good little boy. Alwyn refused. He declared he would defeat Loki and save Ruri. Hearing this statement made Ruri rethink how she saw herself and how others saw her. She realized she had focused so much on the negative things people said about her that she convinced herself she would never be a hero. Armed with new determination, she approached Loki and stabbed him. Loki told her a simple stab wound would not hurt him and moved away from the sword. But Ruri assured him that next time she hit him, she would not fail at all. Next moment, she began increasing her power, and before Loki could devise a contingency plan, she cut him down. Once he was gone, Ruri ran to check on Alwyn, but he was so exhausted from the fight that he fainted in her arms. When Alwyn woke up later and realized he was resting in Ruri's lap, he tried to sit up quickly and accidentally hit his head against hers. After apologizing for the collision, he suggested they return to the city, and while walking through the forest, they began to hear noises. Ruri assumed it was a monster or a ghost, but after, Alwyn listened closely and realized it was his mother. He carried Ruri and fled, fearing his mother would hurt her if she saw them together. When they were far enough away, he put Ruri down, and the girl laughed as she teased him for being afraid of ghosts. But Alwyn said nothing because his mother was scarier than a ghost. When they reached Ruri's hotel later, they discovered it never existed and was part of Loki's illusions. Sometime later, Alwyn arrived at his parents' house and secretly prayed his mother was still looking for him, as he did not want to deal with her. Unfortunately, his prayers were not heard because the moment he opened the door, Lucia Wayne suddenly appeared behind him. Terrified, Alwyn ran into the house, ignoring his father's greeting and his desperate attempt to avoid his mother. Because of this, poor Giles Wayne was the one who faced her wrath, and she hung him outside to dry when she finished. Alwyn wanted to leave early. Lucia Wayne clung to his leg and begged him not to leave with tears running down her face. Giles Wayne told her to leave Alwyn alone, but she angrily told him to mind his own business. Turning her attention back to Alwyn, she tried to convince him to stay, but Alwyn told her if she did not stop, he would come to hate her. This was enough for her to calm down, and she apologized for being so insistent and clingy. Before saying goodbye, she asked Alwyn if his decision to be a farmer was because of an obligation. Hearing this, Alwyn remembered a moment from his childhood when he was before a grave. However, the memory went as fast as it came, and he assured his mother she had the wrong idea. Accepting his answer, Lucia Wayne advised him to live his life without regrets and wished him the best. So Alwyn thanked her and said goodbye to his parents. He met Ruri later after buying more fertilizer, and they began the return journey to the capital. He told her if she was ever in trouble, she should look for him. He would come to save her, making the girl in love blush. Meanwhile, in the capital, Phalis Magus was on the balcony when her maid came to inform her that the king requested her presence. Days later, after Alwyn and Ruri's return to the capital, Alwyn took Ruri to register at the guild as an adventurer. Another day, Alwyn caught a young man stealing from his farm just as Helen and Ruri arrived to help him. Surprisingly, Alwyn was not angry because the boy stole from him. He was angry because he picked the eggplants too early. The girls were not completely surprised by his outburst, but there was nothing they could do about it. The boy apologized for stealing, and when his stomach growled, Alwyn harvested a cabbage and gave it to him. As soon as the boy tasted it, he declared it was the sweetest thing he had eaten and thanked Alwyn. After he left, Helen explained that recent monster attacks affected trade, causing prices to rise. Just then, alarm bells rang, signaling another monster attack, so Alwyn and the girls ran. When they arrived, they joined guild members and knights fighting the monsters. Unfortunately, it did not matter how many monsters they killed because a new swarm always appeared to replace them. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, a group of knights with the flag of a neighboring country arrived. Their leader raised his holy sword and ordered the monsters to leave or face his blade's edge. Surprisingly, the monsters obeyed his command and retreated to the forest where they came from. The knights cheered while the monsters left, but Alwyn and the others were amazed. That night, while Alwyn cleaned his tools, Phalis Magus knocked on his door and surprised him, saying she was coming to say goodbye. After letting her in, she explained she was leaving Magus forever. But before Alwyn could question her further, the princess's maid knocked on the door and informed it was was time to depart. Phallus Magus got up and said a final goodbye to Alwyn before walking towards her carriage. Alwyn followed her, demanding answers, but Phallus Magus gave him none and left him there confused as her carriage drove away. Days later, the mother of the boy who tried to steal from him visited him with her son and apologized for what her son had done. She also made the boy apologize again, but Alwyn assured them he held no grudge against the little one. The mother told Alwyn she worked as a tailor and told him if he needed anything, she would be happy to help. The boy tried to praise his mother's skills, but the woman didn't let him and asked Alwyn to sell her some vegetables. After making the sale, the woman and her son left, but Alwyn almost had a stroke noticing Mace standing next to him. Ignoring Alwyn's reaction, Mace handed him a letter from his mother, and Alwyn apologized for bothering him. As they spoke, the topic shifted to how the monster attacks ended. Thanks to the holy sword of the kingdom of Antisburg. When Alwyn mentioned it was nice of them to come to their aid, Mace muttered that things were not what they seemed. Confused, Alwyn asked what he meant, but the mailman refused to expand on the subject at that precise moment. Then he showed Alwyn the newly printed newspaper, and after reading the cover story, Alwyn was shocked. Meanwhile, at the guild, Mace talked to Helen when his stomach growled, so Helen gave him some sandwiches. While Mace devoured them, Helen read the newspaper and showed the cover story to Mace. It happened that Phallus Magus would marry the Prince of Antisburg, and the girls speculated it was a marriage of convenience. Mace noted it was strange that monsters obeyed the prince when it was known monsters were very stupid. Just then, Alwyn arrived and showed the girls his mother's letter, but as they began to read it aloud, he almost died of embarrassment because the first half was Lucia Wayne declaring her eternal love for her son. He immediately snatched the paper and tore it before showing them the part he wanted them to read. In the letter, Lucia Wayne spoke about recent monster attacks and said she had gone to investigate the reason behind them. According to her investigation, she learned the legendary Holy Sword had no powers because it was as fake as a cheap tan. Lucia Wayne swore the information collected was legitimate due to her former position in the intelligence unit. The girls were surprised to learn about Lucia Wayne's former position, but Alwyn, being the clueless person he was, did not understand why. They had to explain to the fool that the shadow agents were an intelligence unit that made other groups look like a joke, and it was mind-blowing that his mother was their former commander. While the girls continued reading the letter, they learned the monsters were summoned by a demon who only did it for his beloved hostage. The latter helped them deduce the prince planned everything to trick the princess into marrying him, so they said they would expose him. Rory pointed out that even if they wanted to embark on their mission, they had no way to access Antisburg, since its immigration control was very strict. Alwyn said he had a plan, and the next moment Mice, who had been waiting patiently, revealed himself. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Antisburg, Prince Netulus was in a meeting with representatives from different kingdoms who had come to ask for help. Netulus took advantage of the situation to his benefit. After the meeting, Gazelle, the demon Netulus forced to summon monsters, told the prince he was tired of his game and would summon no more. In response, Netulus slapped Gazelle and told him he had no right to refuse his requests, reminding him his lover's life was at stake. Suddenly, the princess entered the room, so Gazelle hid his face under his hood and remained silent while she scolded Netulus for hitting him. He said disciplining common people was necessary sometimes. He was back in the Magi's kingdom, while Alwyn picked up the clothes he ordered from the tailor. Mace informed the girls that his friend in the kingdom of Antisburg had made arrangements to secure their entry into the kingdom. Once Alwyn arrived, Mace told them to go ahead in the carriage he provided and said all they had to do was tell the guards they were delivering wedding goods. Curious, they asked what Mace would do, and he told them he would get the monsters they needed to prove Netulus was a complete blatant fraud. This led them to ask how he would do it, so Mace revealed that he was one of the many demons who had integrated into human society. The next day, the carriage carrying Alwyn and the girls arrived in Antisburg, and after a while, the trio got out of it. Alwyn felt optimistic, but the girls did not because they believed the costumes Alwyn got them would make them stand out. Saul Wayne argued no, as farmers were the least suspicious beings, and then gave a breakdown of their important mission. They should save Gazelle's lover from Netulus's men and take her to the church to reunite with him. Once reunited, they would have Gazelle reveal the holy sword was fake, and everything would be fine. However, as they left the alley they were in, they encountered a knight who asked who they were, making the girls get scared. Alwyn replied they were farmers delivering fresh vegetables to the palace, and immediately, the knight marked them as suspicious individuals. They found themselves being chased by a group of knights, and the girls blamed Alwyn. Despite this, they decided to continue with their plan, and since they could not get rid of the guards, they threw Alwyn into the castle through the wall. Coincidentally, the room he ended up in was the room where Gazelle's lover was, and he told her he had come to take her to Gazelle. Just then, the knights guarding the room arrived, so Alwyn taught them the true power of vegetables. Once he finished educating them, he asked the girl to go with him, but the chain on her leg prevented her from moving. With no other choice, Alwyn carried her like a sack and ran as if his life depended on it out of the castle. He met Helen and Rory on the way, and everyone continued running towards the church. At some point, Helen and Rory stayed behind and asked Alwyn to go on without them, promising to keep the knights occupied. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, Mace was outside the city and decided it was time to play his part in the mission. In the church, the ceremony began after the king led his daughter to the altar. Despite having doubts, the princess said she did accept when the priest asked the million-dollar question. Then he asked them to seal their marriage with a kiss, and while Netulus approached her, the princess wished he would move his bad-smelling mouth away from her. Next moment, the church door flew off and hit Netulus against the floor. Everyone was surprised by this unexpected twist, but when Alwayne entered the church, the princess was filled with relief. Netulus stood between them and declared Alwayne was the villain. When he ordered Alwayne to be detained, Alwayne calmly stated the holy sword was fake, causing the guests to murmur among themselves. Netulus was afraid he had been discovered, but decided to fake it, so he accused Alwayne of trying to ruin the ceremony. The princess's father assured Alwayne the sword was real because he had seen it work, and Netulus decided to lean into that. He called Alwayne a liar and, with a smug smile, asked if he could bring proof of his claims. Just when Alwayne replied he could finally do it, a knight entered to inform the prince that the city was being invaded by monsters. At that moment, Mace flew over the city while blowing a special flute, which seemed to bring monster swarms to the city. Scared, the guests began, demanding Netulus use the holy sword to order the monsters to leave. Hoping to save face, Netulus called Gazelle, asking him to bring the sword, but was surprised to see the demon hugging his lover. Mace appeared the next moment with the sword. However, Netulus hesitated in taking it. The people's clamor increased when the monsters entered the church, so Alwayne grabbed the sword and threw it at the first monster that entered. To everyone's surprise, the monster broke the sword in half, and it was then that they accepted Alwayne was telling the truth. The king demanded to know how Netulus had dispersed the monsters with a fake sword, and Gazelle responded it had all been a setup. He backed up his words by blowing his flute, and everyone saw the monsters retreat. Gazelle explained that in those attacks he blew his flute. He did it when Netulus gave the signal by raising the sword. The king asked Netulus to defend himself from the accusations, but the prince began laughing like crazy. Then he revealed he had sent a monster swarm to Magus the day before. Gazelle asked how he did it without his help, and Netulus explained he scattered monster corpses around the city to attract monsters there. When he began to gloat that the capital city would fall, Ruri and Helen appeared at the door and declared the city would be fine. They explained that after the attacks, the people turned to them and asked them to train them in combat to be prepared in case of another attack. The king was filled with pride after hearing this, and Alwayne told the princess she did not have to sacrifice herself for the good of the kingdom. Antisburg knights arrived shortly after, and to Netulus's surprise, they dropped their weapons and detained him. Helen, and Ruri explained that while they fled from them, they had the chance to reveal his evil deeds, and they agreed he must be stopped. Refusing to accept defeat, Netulus charged. He charged with a small knife against the king, but Alwayne thwarted his plans with a radish. Then he punched Netulus in the face, and after he was taken away, the princess hugged Alwayne, declaring her love for him. While Ruri expressed her disapproval of their relationship, Helen remained calm, and the king told them they had his blessings. After this, he left the church, but Mace approached him before he could leave. He handed him a letter they intercepted from Netulus, and it revealed an important secret. It revealed that Netulus was not the mastermind behind the whole incident. Days later, the princess brought a chest full of jewels to the guild to thank them for defending the city. While the adventurers helped themselves to the treasure, she left, and when she returned as Philia later, she had a staring contest with Ruri over Alwayne. Another day, while Alwayne harvested his crops, the princess and Ruri appeared demanding to know who he liked, but he ignored them. However, when Ruri asked if there was another woman besides them, he surprised. Alwayne surprised by answering there indeed was. They asked who it was, but he ignored the question and ran off with the crops he had harvested. Later that night, when Alwayne got home, he left some vegetables in front of a picture frame and told the girl in the photo he had picked many vegetables that day. Years ago, when Alwayne was a child, he helped his father harvest potatoes, and when the man saw he had harvested so much, he praised him. However, his mother appeared and hit her husband. She accused him of exploiting her son. Later that day, Alwayne took some of the potatoes he had harvested to the elderly couple next door. While talking to them, he heard an uproar and turned to see two men and a girl his age. Confused, he asked the elders what was wrong, and they explained the girl was a thief. They also said since she had no home or family, she would be sold to a dealer. At that moment, the girl escaped her captors and, as she ran, grabbed the potato basket. He found her later on a side of the mountain eating the potato, and when the girl saw him, she fled. Alwayne called her to stop, explaining he only came to give her a bowl of food. The girl was surprised and did not answer, so he left the bowl on the floor and told her she could eat it if she wanted. The next day, he came with another bowl of food, but after calling the girl and getting no answer, he left the bowl and left. On the third day, the girl finally came out. She came out of her hiding place and allowed Alwayne to sit with her while she ate the sandwiches he brought. Alwayne proudly told her he grew the tomatoes used for the sandwich, and the girl was impressed. He also told her his father always said farmers who grew vegetables always found happiness knowing there were people who would eat their products with a smile. Then he asked what her name was, and she told him it was Ilvia, so he introduced himself to her. Just then, her stomach roared. Her stomach roared loudly, and Ilvia offered him her sandwich. But before he could take it, those farmers suddenly grabbed grabbed her. Al Wayne asked why they were still after her when she hadn't stolen anything from them again, and they told him they needed her to pay for the losses they suffered because of her. Hoping to convince them to let Ilvia go, Al Wayne knelt and begged them to forgive her. He even promised to grow many vegetables to pay what he owed them, but they refused. He was still begging when his father appeared carrying rice. He asked what the problem was, so the men explained it as best as they could, and after listening to them, he offered them the rice in exchange for leaving Ilvia alone. After they left with their new possession, Al Wayne asked his father if he was sure of his decision. Gilles Wayne said yes, but admitted he was afraid his wife would punish him severely. Ilvia interrupted to return the basket of stolen potatoes, and the man said they would need extra help to cook them. Al Wayne took a few seconds to understand. After doing so, he asked Ilvia if she would like to come to his house and help him cook potatoes every day. Realizing what his question meant, Ilvia happily accepted, and the three went home. 2 years later, Ilvia had adapted to living with the Waynes and was practically Al Wayne's shadow. One afternoon, she asked Al Wayne to take a break from harvesting, but Al Wayne did not want to. His father told her not to bother, and Ilvia expressed her dissatisfaction with that situation. In response to her outburst, Al Wayne suggested she go play with the other village children instead of following him like a lost puppy, and Ilvia said she didn't want to. Next moment, Testa, who was being chased by bees, came running towards them screaming for help. Lucia Wayne came out of nowhere and knocked down the bees for him. Lucia Wayne said she and Gilles Wayne would go to the city to look for houses, and Al Wayne protested, insisting their house was fine. She explained they finally needed more space. When Al Wayne tried to protest, his father interrupted him. He told them they must take care of the fields and the house while they were away. After his parents left, Al Wayne asked Testa why the bees were chasing him, and the boy pulled out a map. Pointing to the spot marked with an X, he explained he went treasure hunting in the woods behind the village when the bees suddenly attacked him. He managed to convince Al Wayne to go with him, and when Ilvia asked if she could go, they refused. As they walked, he spoke. Al Wayne told Testa he didn't understand why Ilvia insisted on going everywhere with him instead of playing with the other children. Testa said it was because other children and villagers didn't like Ilvia, so they didn't treat her well. Al Wayne was surprised to hear this, and even more so when Testa revealed that Ilvia's discrimination was the reason his parents were looking for a house. Feeling bad, Al Wayne wanted to go home, but Testa begged him to stay longer, and he gave in. Soon after they arrived, they reached the place marked on the map, and while they looked around, the ground suddenly opened and they fell into an underground cave. Inside the cave was an old building that seemed abandoned years ago. Testa saw a stone tablet in the corner with strange writings, and when Al Wayne touched it, it lit up. Next moment, he saw himself in the presence of what looked like a dragon, and when it tried to bite him, everything went dark. When Al Wayne regained consciousness, he was in a tent with an Ilvia very worried about him. After he sat up, Testa arrived. Confused, Al Wayne asked what was happening, so Testa took him outside to show him the place. He explained a volcano had erupted, and everything became chaotic. Just then, someone shouted that the only bridge linking them to the capital had been destroyed, so they should wait for help. Testa left soon because he was informed his parents had been found, so Ilvia helped Al Wayne back to his tent. On the way, they heard the village chief say something important. He said the food was not enough, so Al Wayne insisted on returning to his field. Upon arriving there, he saw everything had been destroyed and got angry. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his chest and fell, worrying Ilvia, but he assured her he was fine. That night, while everyone slept, Ilvia snuck into the chief's tent to steal food, but changed her mind remembering how Al Wayne begged for her freedom years ago. The next day, Ilvia added her food portion to Al Wayne. She made him believe help had arrived from the capital. Over the days, Ilvia continued giving all her food portion until one day she fainted. Testa ran to inform Al Wayne about this, but sadly, Ilvia had already passed away from malnutrition. Hearing this, Al Wayne asked how it was possible if help arrived from the capital, and Testa told him such a thing never happened. It was then he realized that Ilvia sacrificed herself for him, and he screamed in agony while holding her body. Ilvia was buried later, and while Al Wayne stood before her grave, he kept blaming himself for her premature death. Back in the present, Al Wayne told himself if Ilvia were alive, he would have given her all the vegetables she could eat. However, he decided to stop thinking about the past and move on with his daily activities. Weeks later, after finishing his monster subjugation mission, he decided to go home and encountered an unconscious girl. Fearing she was injured, Al Wayne decided to take her home with him finally. When he woke up the next day, the girl was before him and asked him why she was in his house. Al Wayne explained he found her fainted on the road, and she asked if he was one of those guys who take advantage of helpless girls. Al Wayne assured her he was not interested in her that way, and said if he were, he would do it while she was conscious. He asked where she was heading before fainting, and she replied she was going to the guild to make a request. When she tried to leave, Al Wayne offered to take her after breakfast since he also had business there. Then he introduced himself before asking her name, to which she replied she was Linnea. Rory passed by shortly after, but seeing Linnea inside the house, she immediately concluded she and Al Wayne had been sharing intimacy all night. Linnea tried to ask Rory who she was, but the girl ran out of the house screaming about how dirty Al Wayne was. Later, at the guild, Al Wayne explained the situation to Helen, and she promised to clear it up. She She cleared everything up with Ruri. Then she told her Linnea was there to make a request, so Helen took them to a private room. There, she asked about Linnea's request, and Linnea said she wanted them to investigate strange things happening in her hometown. Sadly, she could not explain what caused the problem or prove it, so Helen told her it would be difficult to get someone to accept the request. Being the good Samaritan he was, Alwyn volunteered, and Helen thanked him. She asked him the name of her city. When Linnea said it was Goltown, Alwyn got excited. It turned out Goltown was famous for the asparagus they grew, and he wished to visit it. Before going to Goltown, Alwyn got Linnea a change of clothes, and once again, the girl assumed he was trying to take her clothes off. She called him a lustful wolf trying to take advantage of her. Alwyn promised he had no hidden motives in mind. Linnea still hesitated to trust him. However, she said she would give him the benefit of the doubt. The couple went by carriage. They went towards Goltown in the back of a carriage, and while traveling, they noticed a female orc running after the carriage, causing Alwyn to panic and wonder when orcs would stop looking for his purity. Just then, more orcs joined the first, and the panic turned into total fear. Alwyn was so afraid he fainted, and when he woke up later, he was in Linnea's lap. He quickly pulled away, and while apologizing for letting her hold him, noticed she gave him a pendant similar to hers. Linnea explained the pendant had a mental calming effect and could ward off evil, so he should keep it. They soon arrived in Goltown, but were stopped at the gate by guards who asked Alwyn who he was. Linnea told them he was with her, so they apologized and let him pass. However, Alwyn could not help but wonder why they used mops instead of spears. While walking through the city, Alwyn saw an asparagus skewer vendor, so he ran to him to buy one of those. While waiting for his order, he questioned the man about strange events, and the man told him nothing was wrong in the city. Then he handed Alwyn his order, but it was burnt, and for some reason, Alwyn assumed it should be that way. Linnea told him he was wrong, and it was then he noticed the vendor was out of his mind. Their attention soon turned to a man who accidentally overturned his vegetable cart. After getting up, he kept walking like nothing, so Alwyn called him to pick up his product. When the man turned around, he looked just like the food vendor, and this worried Alwyn. Before he could understand what was happening, he was mistaken for luggage and carried away by two people. Linnea found him by the fountain in the town square later and invited him to her house to relax a bit. In her family's shop, Linnea showed Alwyn more replicas of the pendant she gave him and explained it was the reason they were not affected by what happened in the city. Alwyn asked if he could take the pendants, and Linnea told him he could have them. Alwyn thanked her and asked where her parents were, and Linnea said she didn't know. She explained she had not heard from them since everyone started acting weird, so Alwyn promised to investigate what happened to them. While walking through the city, later, Alwyn observed strange things kept happening. The only person who seemed normal besides him and Linnea was the town lord, Lemuru Horn. As soon as Alwyn heard his name, he became a fan, enthusiastic about meeting his idol. He asked Lemuru Horn if he could question him about what was happening in the city, and the man invited him to his house for dinner. Next moment, Alwyn was taken again by the same idiots who mistook him for luggage before. Linnea found him by the statue again, and while chatting, she asked if he didn't find Lemuru Horn's behavior strange. Alwyn agreed with Linnea's observation, but said he would still have to investigate the matter properly. That night, they went to Lemuru Horn's house for dinner, and shortly after sitting at the table, Lemuru Horn's guards drew their swords against Alwyn. As expected, Alwyn did not panic and eliminated the guards before trying to attack Lemuru Horn, but Linnea got in his way. Lemuru Horn, or rather Vritra, the demon controlling him, then revealed that everything was his master plan to control humanity. After possessing Lemuru Horn, he infused crystals with his magic and placed them inside the statue. This allowed him to gain control over everyone in the city, and while preparing to do the same with the capital, he learned what Alwyn did to Romeo Van Died and Uraboros. This pushed him to change his plans because he was sure that if he controlled Alwyn, he would be unstoppable. When he concluded his explanation, he tried to possess Alwyn, but Alwyn broke a small stone he was holding, and the next moment, the statue exploded. Vritra asked how he did it, and Alwyn revealed that breaking the stone gave the necessary signal to the girls. They needed the signal to blow up the statue. Vritra did not believe Alwyn because Linnea watched him all day, but Alwyn reminded him of the 2 times he was out of her sight. It turned out the girls followed them because they were worried, and they kidnapped him the first time to tell him their suspicions. The second kidnapping was done so he could give them the crystals and form a plan to thwart the demon's plans. Annoyed, Vritra forced Lemuru Horn to take his own life, but Alwyn stopped him by throwing asparagus into his mouth. Once the man tasted them, he regained his senses and Alwyn punched the demon away. Later, when it was time to leave, Linnea told Alwyn to keep the pendant as a gift and then kissed his cheek to show her appreciation. Ruri and Helen witnessed this, so as soon as he departed, they ran after him demanding answers. Days later, while the girls helped Alwyn on the farm, they suddenly heard him scream, so they ran to find out what was wrong and were surprised to discover that weeds were the problem. Alwyn regretted not noticing the weed before, and the girls didn't know how to react to his outburst without laughing. Later that day, they joined him at the market to sell their products, and while they were there, the king passed by using a disguise. The princess hid upon seeing him because she did not want her identity to be revealed. The king bought some vegetables and before leaving, asked Alwyn when he would marry his daughter. Alwyn tried to think of the most polite way to tell him it would never happen, but the king was a shrewd guy. He promised Alwyn he would give him additional land and new tools if he agreed to marry his daughter. This offer sounded tempting to Alwyn, and he would have accepted if Rory had not stopped him. Annoyed that Rory was ruining her chances, the princess tried to hit her with a potato, but she dodged it, and Alwyn was hit instead. While he was unconscious, a woman appeared to him, but Alwyn woke up before she could tell him anything useful. Alwyn wondered what had finally happened. He kept it to himself because he did not want to sound crazy. Shortly after the king left, they sold the remaining goods, and Alwyn thanked the girls for helping him. He said he would use the money from the sales to buy herbicides for the weeds, and he seemed very pleased with the idea of eliminating them. Seeing him descend into his villain arc scared the girls, so they made up excuses to leave immediately. While Alwyn walked through the city, he met Mace, who asked if anyone had bothered him recently. Alwyn explained his situation with the weeds and talked about how he would get rid of them with the herbicide he bought. Seeing Alwyn act like that was new to Mace, however, he did not run off like the girls. Just then, they noticed a girl fighting some men, so Alwyn approached and told them to leave her alone. One of the guys told him to mind his own business and tried to stab him, but Alwyn easily knocked him out before doing the same to his partner. The other fled. He fled like a coward when Alwyn looked at him. His run caused the girl's hood to fall off, exposing her horns to Alwyn and Mace. When the girl realized it, she put on her hood with fear, but Mace smiled and asked if her name was Yuria. She asked how he knew who she was, and he revealed he was also a demon before explaining to Alwyn she was the current Demon King's daughter. Curious, Alwyn asked why she was in a human city, but Yuria hesitated to answer because he was human. Mace had to assure her Alwyn was one of the good humans before she spoke. It turned out her personal servant Volpe was the one who sent her there because, according to him, she was in danger. Yuria told them she did not know what danger he was referring to, but said she felt something was not right in the Demon Kingdom. Hearing this, Alwyn offered to take her there and asked Mace to take care of removing the weeds on his farm. Mace asked if he needed help booking a boat trip to the Demon Kingdom. Alwyn told him no. He said a boat trip was too expensive for a person without money like him, so he would rely on his legs. Then he carried a screaming Yuria in his arms while running across the ocean as if he were on a racetrack. When they arrived, Yuria thanked him, saying thanks to him she could save her people. But before they could leave the beach, Volpe appeared. He tried to attack Yuria, but Alwyn saved her and fought him for a few minutes before deducing something. He deduced that the demon was being controlled. He managed to gain the upper hand and knocked Volpe unconscious, but the demon did not stay down for long. When he got up, he tried to annihilate Alwyn and Yuria, but Lucia Wayne suddenly appeared and knocked him unconscious. Alwyn asked his mother how she knew where to find him, and she said Mace told her everything. Then she introduced herself to Yuria, but she was afraid and hid behind Alwyn. Alwyn said there was nothing to fear and asked her about Volpe because of his power. His powers were out of the ordinary. Yuria revealed that Volpe was the most powerful magic user among demons, but spent most of his time taking great care of her. From her explanation, Alwyn concluded that Volpe deserved an award for being the weirdest, and Lucia Wayne agreed. However, she said they must keep moving. Upon reaching the castle, they found all the guards unconscious, so Yuria ran to the throne room to look for her father. They found him lying on the floor, but Alwyn confirmed he was still breathing in that place. Looking around, he noticed one of the guards moving, so he went to him to ask questions. The demon was about to answer him when he saw Yuria was also in the room. He expressed his happiness at seeing her alive, but told her to run when he noticed Lucia Wayne drawing a sword. Alwyn immediately went into action, saving Yuria in the process, and Lucia Wayne told him she was disappointed in him for going against her. Alwyn calmly told her to stop acting like that and said something very important. He said he knew she was not his mother as soon as he saw her because she did not run to hug him like she normally used to. The fake Lucia Wayne praised him for seeing through her disguise and then shocked him by revealing she was Ilvia. He asked how she could be alive, and she said it was thanks to the great evil god. Then she raised her hand and gathered a ball of magic energy, which she directed at Yuria, but Alwyn reacted just in time to save her. The magic energy cut through the throne and the walls, destroying the mountains. Ignoring Alwyn's and Yuria's surprise, Ilvia revealed Alwyn had the evil god's powers sealed within him. Seeing his look of disbelief, she explained that the day he leveled up his farming skills, he received the evil god's skill, which increased his attack power. Alwyn asked what the evil god wanted with him, and when he mentioned he had never seen the guy before, Yuria told him he had. Then she said if Alwyn agreed to join her and the evil god, she would tell him. She would tell everything in great detail. As she spoke, she held Alwyn's face in her hands and tried to hypnotize him into following her orders, but Yuria interrupted her. She called to Alwyn to react, and Ilvia got angry when she heard Yuria call Alwyn older brother. Mean as she was, she grabbed Yuria by the throat and told her to stop meddling and trying to steal her brother. Alwyn begged her to stop and tried to intervene, but Ilvia hit him with a spell and told him to accept her offer or watch Yuria die. Yuria begged Alwyn not to give in to Ilvia's demands, and Ilvia got angry with her for meddling again, so she decided to finish her. As she raised her hand to do it, the pendant around Alwyn's neck began to glow, and and the next moment, time stopped. It took Alwyn a few seconds to understand what was happening, and when he did, the woman who appeared to him in the market appeared again. She introduced herself as the good goddess finally. She explained the evil god had prevented her from talking to him since then. She also said they didn't have much time, so she would take the power of the evil god sealed in him and replace it with her power. As soon as she said this, the evil god tried to intervene, but she repelled him and did what she said she would. Once her task was complete, she told Alwyn she would rewind time a bit to give him the chance to save Yuria, and he thanked her. When she disappeared, time went on. It kept moving again, but she kept her word and delayed it a bit to increase his chances of saving Yuria. Using the good goddess's power, Alwyn tried to stop Ilvia, but to his surprise, what manifested were weeds. Ilvia mocked him for using cheap tricks against her, but the next second, the weeds enveloped her, forcing her to release Yuria. However, she could not hold her for long and broke free before trying to attack Yuria again. Alwyn used them. He used the weeds as a barrier, and surprisingly, it was very strong. The weeds enveloped Ilvia again, and while she struggled against them, Volpe arrived. He immediately attacked her with his magic, and once sure she was subdued, he went to check on Yuria. Unfortunately, Yuria was unharmed, and she sent Volpe flying against a wall for daring to attack her in the first place. Alwyn tried to intervene, but she brushed past him and was about to end Volpe's life when Alwyn shouted, "Please stop." Realizing Alwyn would not let her get away with it, Ilvia decided to leave, but promised Alwyn she would come back for him when the time was right. As soon as she disappeared, Volpe grabbed Alwyn by the neck and demanded to know what his relationship with the girl was. Yuria begged him not to hurt Alwyn as he was the one who saved her life, but Volpe would not listen. Just then, the Demon King spoke and ordered Volpe to release the man who saved their lives, so Volpe stepped back. The Demon King apologized on behalf of Volpe before asking who Ilvia was to him. Alwyn admitted she was his sister and explained everything he knew. The Demon King said he didn't know much about the evil god since it was the previous Demon King who had dealings with him. However, he promised to investigate. When Alwyn turned to leave, Yuria asked if she would see him again, and he promised he would, so she hugged him. Volpe went crazy seeing this and quickly pulled Yuria away. He accused Alwyn of being indecent with her. Alwyn argued he was not and said if anyone was suspicious it was him, but Volpe denied it. Later, as Alwyn walked home, he remembered the encounter with Ilvia and wondered if the dragon creature he saw in the cave was the evil god. Hoping to get answers, he went to visit Testa to ask him if he remembered anything from that day. Testa said he did not see the creature and did not even know what Alwyn meant by that. The boys ate tomatoes, and before Alwyn left, he invited Testa to spend time with him in the city. But Testa rejected the invitation. As Alwyn walked away, Testa told himself he was happy Alwyn invited him, but that he could not leave the village. Later, Alwyn found a female orc, but instead of running, he turned and punched her in the face. Surprisingly, the blow did not affect the orc as she began to chase him. Jake's group arrived to help him at that precise moment. They asked why Alwyn could not defeat the orc, and Alwyn admitted he did not know why. When they reached the guild, Alwyn told Helen and Ruri what happened, and they found it strange. Helen asked to see Alwyn's statistics, and when he showed them to her, she noticed his power had been reduced. This made Alwyn realize that when the good goddess removed the evil god's power from his body, she returned him to being a normal person. Seeing his face, the girls asked. They asked if he knew why his statistics dropped, and Alwyn told them no because he did not want to burden them with the truth. Just then, Maze arrived with a letter from Lucia Wayne, and while Alwyn read the first part, the girls got scared because it seemed like Lucia Wayne was threatening them. In the other part of the letter, Lucia Wayne wrote that she heard something happen to him and said if he needed any advice, she would be happy to hear it. She encouraged him to return home, and when she began to profess her love, Alwyn finished. Alwyn decided he had already read enough. Mace asked if he would write a reply, and Alwyn told him no, so the mailman turned to leave. He met the princess on the way out, and after exchanging greetings, she approached Alwyn. She invited him to hang out with her, but this upset Ruri and Helen, and when a drunk adventurer tried to intervene, the three girls scared him with their looks. Looking around, Alwyn wondered why everything happened the way it happened. However, he realized things were not that bad because he had the girls, and those who cared about him. He resolved not to worry about what might come when Ilvia appeared again, and decided to give himself to his work because it was still his dream to become the world's best farmer. The narrator questions what one thinks regarding the return of Ilvia. It is analyzed whether she will succeed in her plans or if she will join Alwyn to fight against evil. The narrator invites commenting on the favorite girl's name. It is also suggested to watch the next video. The narrator says goodbye until the next meeting. Just then, a messenger informed the princess that she was needed at the palace, and arriving there, knights revealed that a monster swarm was approaching the city. This was shocking since demons and humans already signed a peace pact, and the king wondered what was happening. Cecil revealed he had already linked the suspicious activities with Romeo Vanded, a demon king commander who wanted revenge. He suggested the king escape.